Let's talk about another concept here. One of the things that really got me started in this study of relationships and the interactions that we have here was really the study of leadership. And I wanted to learn what it took to be a good leader in my business and my community and those sort of things. And what became interesting to me over time is that leadership's not just something for your business and your community. Leadership is something that we do in our families. And in nearly every relationship that we have in our lives, there are times when we're called upon to lead. And the question is going to be, are we prepared when that calling comes? And a lot of us are not going to be. We're just going to have to be left to wing it at that stage and to operate on our blueprint back there, which may not have taught us any of the concepts that it takes to lead. But what is leadership? Leadership is really the influencing of another person to do something that's mutually beneficial for you. And isn't that what we do in our families? As dads, don't we want to try to lead our families to where they need to be? As moms, that's your role, is to nurture and lead your children to where you feel like they need to be. And sometimes we get a lot of single families where this role becomes doubly important on whoever's left to be the leader in that situation. So leadership and anything that we can study about leadership is going to have almost total and complete application in our families. So my encouragement to you is do not ever shy away from studying the concept of leadership, because it's critical to you. Whether you ever want to be a leader outside your family or not, it's critical to you and your family. So if our job is to influence people, and I'm going to say as a parent here, if my job is to influence my kids to grow up learning to be the respectable citizens and successful in many areas of their lives, how do I gain the influence over them to do that? I can't demand it. I don't know how many of you guys out there are wired like I am, but I've got this extreme rebellious streak built into me, and it's caused me more headaches and heartaches and troubles than I ever want to talk about. And mine is wired so crazy that I'll even rebel against myself. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but that's a discussion for another time. But there is within almost every one of us, I think, an innate desire to let me do it on my own. I'm a big boy. I can do this. No matter what our personality style is, we all have some of that built in. Now, some of us have it to a much greater degree than others. If we're a very reserved personality style, especially if we're very people-oriented, we're going to tend to put our desire to stand up and be counted behind the desire to help other people have what they want. And so we're not going to tend to be as outwardly rebellious as maybe some other people are. On the flip side, if you take a person who's like that and you push them too far by taking too much advantage of them, they're going to turn around and just go into 100% stubborn rebellious mode. And that's just, it's part of human nature. We want to be agents unto ourselves. We want to use our agency to act for our own without feeling controlled or manipulated or anything like that. So how do we as parents, as leaders, help our children to not feel like they've been forced into that box where everything that we say is an attempt to control them rather than an attempt to lead them? There's a very different feeling, because if you're controlling somebody, you're not leading them, they're pushing them. And pushing people only goes so far. When you lose power over them, you can no longer push them. It's like at work. If I work in a business at a job, my boss has power over me because he can fire me if I don't do what he says to do. But if I work in a volunteer organization, a church for instance, it's awfully hard for my church leader to say, "You're fired," because it's like, so what? There's no consequence to it other than I don't have to do that thing that I was doing that might have been hard for me anyway. And so we can't lead from a position of power, we have to lead from a position of influence. So, and there's a lot of detail on how we get into influence, but I really like that I found in the book, an old classic on people skills, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. He has in there what he calls the 3A principle, and that is that we need to accept, approve, and appreciate other people for them to feel drawn to us. And the flip side of it that is actually, I don't think it came from his book, I think it's from another book, but it's called the 3C principle. So we have accept, approve, and appreciate on the positive side. On the negative side, we have criticize, condemn, and complain. Now, if we have these three things that are tools in our ammo belt here to use in trying to move people forward, we have the positive side, which is accept, approve, appreciate, and the negative side, criticize, condemn, and complain. Those things get us the results that are positive and negative. And so we want to make sure that if we're trying to influence somebody, we need to build a positive rapport with them. And we're going to do that by making sure we accept them, and not just accept them for who they are in the sense of, fine, be anything that you want to be, but more to just let them feel accepted. We don't have to validate and agree with everything that they're doing, but we don't, on the other hand, have to be critical and condemning and complaining about everything they're doing all the time either. But we can accept people around us as children of God. They're our brothers and sisters in a very literal sense, and so we need to accept them that way. And then the second thing is approve. We need to show them approval, and this is where that love language of words of affirmation comes in really big. If we will get good at complimenting people and showing them appreciation and building them up and edifying them and affirming them with our words and our actions, we are going to draw those people to us, and they will be much more likely to want to join with us and follow us wherever we're going to go than if we've been sitting out there saying, you got to do this and you got to do this and I don't like the way you do that and I don't like the way you do that. That person is not going to want to be around you, and the minute they get the freedom to do otherwise, they're going to run. Not run behind you, run away from you. And what we're looking for is to draw people in who can run with us and behind us and in the same direction. And so we want to accept other people as children of God and who they are. We want to start approving them, uplifting and building them up. And we want to start using the appreciation factor on them. We want to let them know how much we appreciate what their contribution is to whatever cause we're working on. Because people can only go along so long making a contribution and not being recognized for it and not getting any kudos for it, before pretty soon they start to lose enthusiasm for the cause. And so we need to make sure that we let them know that they're appreciated, that I see the contribution you're making. You know what? What you're doing may be really behind the scenes where a lot of people don't see it, but I want you to know that I do. And I value what you're doing. And I want you to know I really think you're awesome at it. We start doing those three things to people around us. They can be our co-workers, our family members, our children. Those people are going to line up and follow us and support us anywhere we want to lead them to. And that's the power of using the correct principles to move forward whatever cause it is that we're trying to accomplish. So we use the accept, approve, appreciate versus the criticism and condemning and complaining, which really these three tend to be our default, especially with our kids. So I encourage you to start looking at What are you saying to your kids? Are they getting a lot of criticism from you? Are you constantly trying to correct them? Are you constantly trying to tell them that's not how we do things, and this and that and the other? Or are you using that positive influence and affirmation in their lives? That's how you become a leader. See you later.